So I was watching the weather last night, and the forecast was looking really promising for another layer of mist. I couldn't get out yesterday, but this morning was looking good as well. The day yesterday was quite hot, followed by a really cold night, which gives all the hallmarks for a nice misty morning. So I set the alarm nice and early this morning, got up, looked out the window, and sure enough there was mist on the fields at the back of the house. So I've got in the car and I've driven about 20 miles to one of the best woods that I know, and this is at Rivington. And at Rivington there's lots of old oak trees and silver birches, all mature, and they're really, really lovely, and I just thought they'd be fantastic with mist. So I've got here, and whilst there's mist in the fields surrounding the wooded areas, there's absolutely nothing at all in the woodlands. So I'm going to stick to my plan. I'm going to carry on walking, and I'm going to head to an area of the woodland where it meets the edge, where the edge of the woodland meets the fields, and with a bit of luck I might find something there. But there's always something to be photographed in woodland, so I'm going to keep at it. So I've been trekking through the fields, desperately trying to find a nice wooded area at the edge of the woods and to photograph some trees, but I just can't seem to get one that I'm happy with. There's still mist hanging around, but whilst I was walking through this field here, I came across this area of marshy grassland, and what this is, it's like a rush pasture, it's soft rush, and the tops, well actually the whole thing is covered with these dewy webs, and you just get them at this time of year and they're absolutely lovely. So I've set the camera up with a 100mm macro. I've gone as close as I can. I don't want to get the whole web in, I just want to use a segment of it. And the actual web itself is full of dew. Beautiful, it's like a pearl necklace. So I've got the camera set on f8. I've got the focal plane as square on as I can to the actual web itself. The problem is that nature doesn't build webs flat. They've always got a bit of a curve to them, or most of them have anyway. This one's got a slight curvature to the edge, but the actual detail of what I would call like a pearl necklace is just superb, and I don't have to damage anything to get to it, so I've gone for this one. So I filled the frame with just a segment of the web itself. Like I said, the actual camera is completely flat on, or as flat as I can get it, to the same plane as the web itself. I've underexposed the camera by about 2/3 of a stop, just because I want to make the background as dark as I can. And when you look at the web through the viewfinder, whilst the web is nice and bright, the background is dark, and that will fool the camera into slightly underexposing. So I've done that. I'm on about f8, which is ample enough to give me sharpness throughout the web, but not allow the rushes in the background to become a distraction. So that's my basic settings. 2-second timer, mirror lock up, and I shut the blind at the back to stop any light creeping in to the camera, and that's pretty much it. So I want to shoot that now. Absolutely superb. We've actually got some sunlight just peeping over the hill as well, which is just catching the light on the web. Absolutely beautiful. Couldn't ask for better. Well, at least we got something in the bag. Yeah. If I don't get anything else this morning, be happy with that. So I was just literally packing up, and just as the sun pipped over the horizon, all the spiders' cobwebs in the background on the grassland just came alive, and it just looks absolutely stunning to the naked eye. And my concern is that on the camera I don't think it will translate too well, the contrast range in a single image. So what I'm going to do, I've got a neutral density grad 0.9 on the top to try and hold back the sky as much as possible, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sequence of shots. I'm at f22 100 ISO, and I'm going to expose the shot, the initial shot, by 2.5 stops, and I'm going to take a sequence of shots all the way through, effectively bracketing my exposure to about 2.5 stops overexposed, and then layer all those together, probably using luminosity masks in Photoshop, to get one final image with the correct exposure balanced right throughout the scene. So I'm going to do that now while the sun's still low in the sky. F22 will give me a nice starburst with a bit of luck. So that's the sun exposed correctly for. So now plus 2/3 of a stop, another 2/3 of a stop, another 2/3 of a stop, another 2/3 of a stop, and again. I've actually lost count how many I've done now, but now the foreground's looking like it's been correctly exposed. So I've got a good exposure for the foreground and I've got a good exposure for the sky, probably about 7 or 8 shots. And like I say, I'll layer all those together in Photoshop, and hopefully it'll be a lovely picture. The scene in itself is quite heavy on the bottom left hand side, but the spider's cobweb that I've got as an anchor point on the bottom right hand third hopefully will compensate for that, and it'll look alright. I am just a bit concerned about the clutter on the left here, but standing here looking at it, it just looks fantastic. The tree line on the left hand, the tree line on the top is sat nicely on the third, and the sun is on the top right hand third. So compositionally, it looks great, or on paper it should be great, but we'll see later on. Obviously you guys are going to see this now, but I'll have to wait. So see you shortly. The sun is well and truly above the horizon now. I still think it's potentially low enough to do a landscape shot should I find one, but I really think that last image that I took of the rushes with the cobweb is probably about the only landscape that I'll get today. Who knows, I mean, try and be optimistic, but I think the light from now on clearly is just going to get more and more harsh as the morning wears on. We're in very, very early September, so it still does get a bit too high late in the day to shoot landscapes all day long. So I think this morning, certainly the way I'm feeling, is that it's going to be more about small detail things. Now, this time of year is just about the start of the fungi season, and not everybody's into photographing mushrooms, but I quite like them. I think you get them in the right light, the right conditions, and the right species, they can look really, really nice. So there's certain species that you find this time of year, and that's the stinkhorn, not the prettiest of fungi. If you want to look it up, I don't think we'll find one. You generally smell them before you see them. And then there's the fly agaric, and the fly agaric does particularly favour woodlands with lots of silver birch in. And whilst there are silver birch in this woodland, they're quite sparse. But I'll keep looking, keep my fingers crossed. We may find some early fungi. So no sooner had I said that, sulphur tufts, this is well and truly gone over, so I'm going to leave this one alone and keep looking. There are certain places just crying out to be photographed in the right conditions, and I really think this beech woodland is one of them. I can imagine what it would look like with a thick layer of mist and the light streaming through from the right hand side. Today though, it's just not quite right, so I'll press on. So this is a bracket fungus known as birch polypore. I often see it photographed many times, grows exclusively on birch trees, hence the name, but it's not the most attractive fungus. There's far better funguses to photograph. I believe that if you strip the skin off, you can actually put it around your finger if you've got a cut, and it helps to heal the wound. but photographically, not really for me. So I was just having a quick walk through this patch of woodland by the edge of the lake, and I came across an old gnarly, I mean it's not very big, but I'm sure it's quite old, gnarly grey willow that's just hanging over the edge of the lake there, and it's in a gap between some mature trees. And what struck me about it was the branches, the way that they've come out from the bank. They're almost creepy looking. It's like an old man just sort of leaning over the edge of the lake, and I really like it. So it's caught my eye. So I've quickly set up with the 100 to 400mm lens on. I'm on about 200mm, something like that. Switched the mirror lock up on, and I've put the 2-second timer on. I've made sure that the image stabilizer isn't switched on because I don't want to introduce shake while it's on the tripod. And it's a very simple shot. I've gone for f14, about a tenth of a second at ISO 100, and I'm really happy with it. I'll just show you the image on the back of the screen, if I can show you. So that's pretty much, it's like an abstract, and you'll see it better on the screen when I get it back and I process it. But yeah, just goes to show, when you're wandering around and you're not really looking for anything in particular, it's quite surprising what you can come across. I like that. I think it's a nice abstract silhouette, and I think I'm going to keep it. So let's press on, see what else we can find. It turned out to be quite a good morning. So I've just been walking along this footpath at the back here, and it's lined with these trees, these lovely big old oak trees, and I can only think that maybe long before the younger trees were planted that it may have been the line of an old hedgerow. But they really are beautiful and old and twisted, and they've got lots of character, particularly these two at the front, but also those ones at the back. And this is a great example of going out just for a walk with your camera, not necessarily having an agenda, but looking to find new images. And I have taken 1 or 2 shots this morning that I'm really quite happy with, but I think this is the one to come back to. I really am looking forward to coming back to this. I've not seen a good group of trees like this for many a while, so I'm really excited about it. I'm going to take a quick shot now just for referencing, which I'll put up so you can see what I mean. But compositionally, it's a beautiful image. It really is a beautiful image, and I just can't wait to get the right conditions to come back to it again. So I'm going to pop the image on live view just so you can see the potential composition that I quite like the looks of. And what we've got is we've got the 2 dominant oaks on the left hand side of the shot, which help to anchor the picture in terms of its composition. And the second oak, which leans over the footpath, is the one that really makes it for me. The shape of the tree leaning over the footpath takes your eye into and through the scene. And I think when we get the misty conditions and a bit of sunlight just filtering through the mist, the tree trunks are actually cloaked in moss, and I think those will become highlighted down the left hand side of the trunks, and I think that will just lift the image to a great extent. But yeah, looking at that, I just can't wait to get back to it. I think it's going to be a cracking shot. I'm going to put the shot that I take now just so you can see its full potential, and yeah, one to come back to for sure. So I think I'm quite happy with that. Not a bad morning's work. Got 1 or 2 shots to be going home with, and I've found a new potential location for a landscape shot, a woodland landscape shot, which I don't do many of. So all in all, very happy. Just need to keep my fingers crossed that we get some nice atmospheric conditions in the near future to come back to this location. So all that leaves to say is, if you enjoyed the video, as always, please subscribe, ring the bell and leave some comments, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.